The front door slammed shut behind Hannah like the crack of a judge's gavel, echoing through the frigid night air thick with the scent of pine and regret. Snowflakes swirled around her, biting into her skin as she stood frozen on the porch of the only home she'd ever known, her breath fogging the air in ragged bursts. In that shattering instant, as the porch light flickered off and left her in darkness, Hannah realized her mother's words weren't just anger. They were a death sentence to the girl she'd been, and the spark of the woman she was becoming ignited right there in the cold. She was 22, old enough to vote, to drive across state lines without permission, but not old enough, apparently, to love who her heart demanded. The backpack slung over her shoulder held everything: a crumpled photo of her and Riley kissing under summer stars, a dog-eared journal filled with confessions she'd never dared voice aloud, and the last $20 from her part-time barista gig. Her phone buzzed once, Riley's name lighting up the screen like a lifeline, but Hannah couldn't answer. Not yet. The weight of her mother's final scream, "You're no daughter of mine if you choose that sin," clawed at her chest, turning sobs into silent screams swallowed by the wind. Hannah stumbled down the steps, boots crunching fresh powder on the driveway of their modest ranch-style house in suburban Ohio, where Christmas lights twinkled mockingly from every neighbor's eaves. It was supposed to be a night of eggnog and forced family carols, not exile. But earlier that evening, over a turkey dinner gone sour, her secret had spilled out like the gravy she'd accidentally knocked over.
Mom, I
love Riley. Like, really love her. The words had hung there, fragile as the ornaments on the tree. Her father's silence had been worse than the outburst that followed, her mother rising like a storm, Bible in hand, quoting verses Hannah had memorized in Sunday school to numb the truth. Now, blocks away, the town square loomed ahead, its massive evergreens strung with lights that pulsed like a heartbeat she no longer trusted in her own body. Hannah's mind raced back to Riley, the girl with the laugh like wind chimes and eyes that saw through every wall Hannah built. They'd met at the community college library 6 months ago, bonding over dog-eared copies of Audre Lorde and late-night study sessions that dissolved into tentative handholds under the table. Riley, with her easy confidence and the way she traced Hannah's knuckles like they were Braille secrets, had cracked open a world Hannah didn't know existed, one where love didn't come with asterisks or apologies. But tonight, that world felt a million miles away. Hannah ducked into the square's gazebo, the wooden benches slick with ice, and sank down, pulling her knees to her chest. The clock tower chimed 9, marking the hour when families gathered closer, while she unraveled alone. Tears froze on her lashes as memories flooded, stolen kisses in Riley's beat-up Honda after shifts at the diner, whispered promises under blankets during sleepovers her mom thought were just girl talk. How had it come to this? Hannah had always been the good daughter, the straight-A student, the volunteer at church bake sales, the one who mended her parents' fraying marriage with quiet obedience. Until Riley. Until love. A gust whipped through, carrying the distant jingle of sleigh bells from some holiday parade float. Hannah wiped her face, the sting sharpening her resolve. She couldn't go back. Not begging, not broken.
But where?
The shelter downtown was a last resort, whispered about in hushed tones at school for kids like her. No, she needed to fight, not with fists, but with the fire her mother had tried to snuff out. Her fingers trembled as she pulled out her phone, thumb hovering over Riley's contact. One text. That's all it would take. "I'm outside. Everything's gone wrong. Can you come?" The reply was instant. "On my way."
Hold on, hon.
"We're in this." Relief crashed over her like a wave, warm against the chill. Riley lived just 10 minutes across town, in a cramped apartment above her aunt's thrift store, a haven of mismatched furniture and rainbow flags pinned discreetly to the walls. As Hannah waited, staring at the snow-dusted statue of some long-dead mayor, she let the anger simmer into something fiercer: defiance. This wasn't just about her and Riley. It was about every girl who'd ever hidden a crush, every heart silenced by fear. Tonight, On Christmas Eve of all nights, Hannah vowed she'd claim her voice. Headlights pierced the flurry minutes later, Riley's old Civic skidding to a stop at the gazebo's edge. The door flew open before the engine even died, and there she was, Riley, 23, with her dark curls escaping a beanie, cheeks flushed from the cold, and that unwavering gaze that said, "I've got you." She didn't ask questions, just enveloped Hannah in a hug that smelled of vanilla and home, her body a solid anchor against the storm. "What happened?" Riley murmured into Hannah's hair, guiding her toward the car. "Mom found out. About us.
She
Threw me out. Called it an abomination." The words tasted like ash, but saying them aloud loosened the knot in Hannah's throat. Riley's arms tightened, her breath hitching. "Oh, hon.
I'm so sorry."
They slid into the passenger seat together, Riley cranking the heat as high as it would go. The dashboard glowed softly, casting their faces in blue light. Riley's hand found Hannah's, intertwining fingers with a gentleness that belied the fury in her eyes. "You're staying with me. No arguments. My aunt's out of town till New Year's, she won't mind." Hannah nodded, exhaustion seeping in now that the adrenaline ebbed. As they pulled away from the square, past houses aglow with what used to be her normal, she glanced back one last time. The life she'd known was slipping away, but in Riley's grip, something new was taking root. Little did she know, this was just the beginning. The night her fight truly began, not against her mother, but for the love that had set her free. The drive was quiet at first, the wipers slapping rhythmically against the snow, the radio murmuring carols that twisted like knives. Hannah stared out the window, watching neighborhoods blur into one another. Picket fences dusted white, inflatable Santas deflating in the wind. Ohio in December was a postcard of isolation, all that forced cheer masking the cracks beneath. "I should have told her sooner," Hannah whispered finally, voice cracking. "Maybe if I'd eased her into it." Riley shook her head, eyes fixed on the road. "You did what felt right. And hey, at least it's out now. No more hiding." But her tone carried the weight of her own scars. Riley's parents had disowned her 2 years back, after a similar blow-up at Thanksgiving. She'd rebuilt in fragments, night classes in graphic design, shifts slinging coffee at the same cafe as Hannah, and a quiet pride in the tattoo on her wrist, a tiny rainbow arrow, inked on her 18th birthday as a fuck you to the world. They pulled up to the thrift store apartment just as midnight neared, the building's faded sign reading, "Second Chances Emporium," like a cosmic joke. Up the creaky exterior stairs, Riley unlocked the door to a space that screamed lived-in warmth, threadbare couch piled with quilts, shelves sagging under vinyl records and dog-eared queerlit, string lights draped like lazy halos. Hannah dropped her backpack by the door, the thud echoing her surrender to the moment. Riley busied herself with hot cocoa, real stuff, with marshmallows from the pantry, while Hannah peeled off her damp coat, revealing the simple sweater and jeans she'd worn to dinner. She caught her reflection in the foggy window, eyes puffy, lips chapped, but chin set in a way it never had been. Stronger somehow. Riley handed her the mug, their fingers brushing in that electric way that always made Hannah's pulse stutter. "Sit," Riley said softly, guiding her to the couch. They curled up under a blanket, legs tangled, the steam from their drinks rising like unspoken prayers. "Tell me everything. From the beginning."
So Hannah did.
The awkward pause after grace, her father's knife scraping plate too loudly. How she'd blurted it out, emboldened by Riley's good luck text that afternoon. "You've got this, love. Be brave for us." Her mother's face crumpling, then hardening into something unrecognizable, Bible thumping the table, verses flying like accusations. "Leviticus doesn't lie, Hannah Grace. This perversion ends tonight." Her father, ever the peacemaker turned coward, mumbling about prayer and time, but doing nothing as her mother packed a bag and shoved it at her. "I froze," Hannah admitted, tears spilling anew. "Just stood there while she yelled about hellfire and how I'd broken her heart." Like I'm the villain for falling in love. Riley set her mug down, cupping Hannah's face with hands that trembled just a little. You're not. You're the hero here. And listen. She leaned in, foreheads touching, breaths mingling. We fight back together. Tomorrow we call that hotline for LGBTQ youth. Get you some resources. Maybe even talk to a counselor who gets it. But tonight? Tonight's ours. Their lips met then, soft at first, a balm against the raw edges. It deepened quickly, hungry for reassurance, Riley's hands sliding under Hannah's sweater to trace the curve of her back. Heat bloomed where they touched, chasing away the cold that had seeped into Hannah's bones. They moved to the bedroom, a nest of pillows and fairy lights, shedding layers like old skins. Riley's body was familiar yet thrilling, the freckles across her collarbone like constellations, the way she arched under Hannah's touch with a gasp that echoed Hannah's own need. In the afterglow, tangled sheets and whispered "I love yous," Hannah felt the first crack in her armor mend. But as sleep tugged at her, a shadow lingered, her mother's voicemail, unopened on her phone. What if this was just the start? What if fighting back meant losing more than a home? Morning light filtered through the blinds on Christmas Day, painting the room in soft golds. Hannah woke to the smell of bacon, Riley in the tiny kitchen, humming "Oh Holy Night" off-key, her curls tied back with a scrunchie that didn't match her pajamas. It was domestic, achingly normal, and Hannah's heart swelled with a gratitude that bordered on pain. "Merry Christmas, sleepyhead," Riley said, sliding a plate over. Scrambled eggs, toast charred just right, and a mug of coffee black as Hannah liked it. No gifts under a tree, but this was enough. More than enough. They ate cross-legged on the floor, knees bumping, laughter bubbling up as Riley recounted her aunt's latest thrift find, a velvet Elvis painting she'd rescued from the dumpster. For a moment, the world outside ceased to exist. But reality intruded with a knock at the door, sharp, insistent. Riley's eyes widened. "Ignore it." Hannah shook her head, pulse quickening.
No.
Might be important. She padded to the peephole, stomach dropping at the sight of her father's old Ford truck idling curbside. And there, climbing the stairs with hesitant steps, was her mother, coat buttoned tight, face pale as the snow. The knock came again. Hannah's hand hovered on the knob, Riley at her side like a sentinel. This was it, the first battle line. With a deep breath that tasted of coffee and courage, she swung the door open. "Mom," Hannah said, voice steady despite the quake inside. Her mother stood there, eyes red-rimmed, clutching a thermos like a peace offering. No apologies in sight, just that familiar mix of steel and sorrow. "Hannah Grace," she started, voice thick. I came to see if you're okay. Your father insisted." Riley stepped forward, hand on Hannah's waist, a quiet claim. "She's more than okay. She's home." The air crackled, 3 women on the threshold of something irreversible. Hannah met her mother's gaze, the weight of years pressing down. "Come in," she said finally. "But we need to talk. Really talk." As her mother crossed the threshold, thermos clinking on the coffee table, Hannah felt the fight shift. Not fists or fury, but words, raw, unfiltered. The Christmas tree on the radio crooned in the background, a fragile truce in the making. Little did they know, this conversation would unearth secrets long buried, forcing them all to reckon with love's unyielding power. Her mother perched on the edge of the couch like it might bite, eyes darting from Hannah to Riley and back, as if cataloging sins. The apartment felt smaller with her there, the air thick with unsaid accusations. Riley hovered by the kitchenette, arms crossed, her protective stance a silent dare. "Try her." Hannah sat opposite, legs tucked under her, the blanket from last night draped like armor. "Why, Mom? Why does it hurt you so much?" The question hung, simple yet seismic. Her mother's fingers twisted the thermos lid, knuckles white. "It's not natural, Hannah. The Bible Stop. Hannah's voice cut sharp, surprising even herself. I've heard the verses 1,000,000 times. But what about the part where it says to love your neighbor as yourself? Isn't that me? Your daughter? Tears welled in her mother's eyes, spilling over. You were always my miracle. After the miscarriage, then your brother. God gave me you.
Perfect.
And now this? It's like losing you all over again. Riley softened then, sliding onto the arm of Hannah's chair. Mrs. Ellis, with respect, love isn't a choice. It's not a phase. Hannah's still your miracle.
Just.
Whole now. The words landed like snow, soft, but accumulating. Her mother looked at Riley fully for the first time, really saw her. The kindness in her smile, the steadiness in her hold on Hannah. Silence stretched, broken only by the sizzle of forgotten bacon. I was like you once, her mother whispered finally, voice breaking.
Young.
Scared. There was a girl at the factory during the war. We shared secrets. Stolen moments in the break room. But when my parents found out, they sent me away. To live with Aunt Clara in Cincinnati. I married your father to forget. And I did, mostly. Until you. Hannah's world tilted. The woman who'd preached fire and brimstone had her own hidden flame? Why didn't you tell me?
Fear. Shame.
I thought burying it would keep you safe. Her mother reached out, hand trembling, and Hannah took it. Warm, calloused from years of nursing shifts. But seeing you fight, it's waking something in me. They talked for hours, words tumbling like avalanches, apologies layered over regrets, questions peeling back layers of pretense. Riley chimed in gently, sharing her own story of rejection and rebirth, bridging the chasm with quiet wisdom. By noon, the thermos was empty, filled instead with lukewarm cocoa, and laughter crept in, tentative, like first steps on ice. As her mother rose to leave, promising to talk to Dad, she hugged Hannah fiercely. Come home when you're ready. Doors open. For both of you. Watching her truck fade into the slushy street, Hannah turned to Riley, tears of relief streaming. Did that just happen? Riley grinned, pulling her close.
Yeah.
And it's just the start. They spent the rest of Christmas in a bubble of possibility, baking cookies from thrift store mixes, dancing to old records, making love slow and sure under the fairy lights. But as evening fell, Hannah's phone lit up with a group text from her old high school friends, party invites, oblivious cheer. She hesitated, then typed, Can't make it. Big changes here. Love you all. The fight wasn't over. Whispers at church, judgmental stares from neighbors. Those would come. But Hannah was ready. With Riley's hand in hers, and her mother's reluctant olive branch, she stepped into a new year not broken, but unbreakable. Weeks blurred into a tentative rhythm. Hannah crashed at Riley's full-time now, her backpack unpacked into drawers that smelled of lavender soap. Job hunts led to interviews. Barista gigs turned graphic design assistant under Riley's aunt, who eyed them both with a knowing wink and zero questions. Evenings were sacred. Walks along the frozen river, hands gloved but fingers laced, sharing dreams over takeout Thai. But shadows lingered. Church bulletins arrived in the mail, passive-aggressive notes from concerned parishioners. Her brother, Tim, called once, awkward and halting. Mom's a mess, hon.
But
she misses you. Hannah hung up mid-sentence, anger flaring anew. Forgiveness wasn't a light switch. Then came the letter from her father, penned in his careful block letters. Proud of you for standing up. Come for dinner? Bring Riley. Simple words, but they cracked something open. Hannah showed it to Riley over breakfast, both staring like it was a bomb. Go, Riley urged. Show them you're not afraid. The dinner was set for New Year's Eve, the house decked in subdued post-holiday finery. Hannah drove, Riley shotgun, nerves electric. The porch light was on, no slamming doors this time. Inside, the air hummed with pot roast and tension. Her father enveloped her in a bear hug, whispering, Missed you, kiddo. Her mother hovered, eyes softer, setting an extra place without a word. Conversation danced around the elephant. Weather, Tim's college apps, the neighbor's new puppy. Riley charmed with stories of thrift store treasures, drawing laughs that eased the knots. After pie, as they cleared plates, her mother pulled Hannah aside in the kitchen. "I called Aunt Clara," she confessed. "Told her everything.
She
She said she never stopped loving that girl from the factory. Died alone, but proud in the end." Tears glistened. "Don't let that BS." Hannah hugged her then, fierce and forgiving. "It won't." Outside, under a sky bursting with fireworks, Riley and Hannah kissed amid the booms, loud, unashamed. Back home, they toasted with cheap champagne, to fights won, to love that endured. Spring thawed the Ohio chill, bringing dogwoods in bloom and a courage that flowered too. Hannah enrolled in online courses, women's studies, with a focus on queer history, her essays burning with a fire of lived truth. Riley landed a freelance gig designing logos for local LGBTQ centers, their apartment walls papered in sketches of intertwined hands and bold rainbows. But trials tested them. A homophobic slur shouted from a passing truck one sunny afternoon sent Hannah spiraling, old fears resurfacing. Riley held her through the night, murmuring, "We're louder than their hate." Family mended slowly. Sunday brunches where her mother asked tentative questions about "your friend Riley," evolving to "my girls" over months. By summer, they road-tripped to Pride in Columbus. First time for both. The parade was a riot of color. Floats thumping bass, drag queens on stilts, signs proclaiming love wins. Hannah marched arm in arm with Riley, a handmade banner reading "Fought Back and Still Standing." Strangers cheered, high-fived. For once, visibility felt like victory. Fall brought proposals, not rings, but futures. Over cider at a harvest festival, Riley knelt in the hay-strewn barn, pulling a velvet box with mismatched earrings. One rainbow, one star. "Marry me?" Not legally yet, but in every way that counts. Hannah's yes was a sob, sealed with a kiss that tasted of apples and forever. Winter circled back, another Christmas Eve. This time, at her parents', tree trimmed with ornaments from their travels, table set for 5 with Tim's girlfriend in tow. Her mother raised a glass. To family, all of us. Laughter rang true, no undercurrents. As snow fell soft outside, Hannah glanced at Riley across the candles, their fingers brushing under the table. The girl thrown out had fought back, not with rage, but with relentless love. And in that quiet triumph, she'd rewritten her story, from exile to embrace, proving that the heart's rebellion is the greatest gift of all.